Hey everybody, this is me, the Untitled Viking, and this is Build It with Bryan. I can only assume this guy right here is Bryan, this handsome chap, as he holds onto his blueprints, and he looks like he's getting ready to, work on, well, building something. My wife tells me he's got an HGTV show. I am unfamiliar. She really enjoys those programs, and that's great. I can walk through the room and stop and converse with her while they're on the TV, and they're not, uninteresting to me. It's just maybe just not my thing. But I do think there's something really cool about, like, improving your house on your own. Like, we tore out carpet in, like, most of the house and replaced it with laminate. I mean, that was a long weekend, but once we were done, we were able to look at it. We're like, oh, that's really cool. We did that. Now, we've never built an entire house by ourselves, which is what this game is about. But I do like the idea of that. Kind of seeing like the idea of your home and like being the person that creates it from the ground up, literally, and do that. And I think maybe that's what his show is about. I don't know, but now. This is not going to be the most complex game that I've ever reviewed. For those of you who are looking for, like, thinking this is going to be like a deep strategy game, it isn't. However, this game, like, immediately after I open it up, and I'll talk about that when I show you how the game is played, I kind of went back in time to a couple of things. My dad's parents, who lived in Washburn, North Dakota, loved board games, and if you watch my videos, I've talked about this a little bit before in some other videos, but they loved playing board games. They loved playing card games. They just loved playing games. And when we would drive the long drive to Washburn, North Dakota, I would be excited when I got there, because there were like 2 or 3 games that were there that I loved playing, and I loved playing them with my dad and my grandpa. There was one called Dungeon Dice. There was one called Kerplunk. Everybody kind of knows about that. And there was another one called like Shadow Lords or something like that. It was like just a game that I really dug. I thought it was really awesome. And I don't know why my grandpa bought that one, honestly, but regardless, but those games like had fairly simple rules, but they had a little bit of, they weren't like the standard stuff I had at home. They weren't Life, where you just spun a thing and hoped you land on something good. But I guess Kerplunk was kind of a dexterity game, but you know what I mean? It's like, they were more than what I was used to, and I think maybe, that itch for, like, there being something more was kind of built off of that. The other person, and I can't believe I don't think I've ever mentioned this person in any of my previous reviews. I had a friend, his name was Richard Klaus. He lives in Florida now, like, a million miles away. But he and his mom was a widower. They lived across the street from me when I was growing up. And he was a couple years older than I am, but he had the best board game collection ever. You know how some people would have, like, a board game cupboard, and they'd have like the 5 or 6 standards, here's Monopoly, here's Clue, maybe Payday, just the standard stuff you're expecting to see. But he had tons of cool stuff. I mean, he had a copy of Battle Cry, if I remember correctly. He had these cool spy games. He had this game called like Masterpiece or something like that, which was about buying and selling art and trying to find forgeries, things like that. Games that had more to them as far as like the difficulty to them. And again, those are the things that I think gave me that little itch for games like this. Now, that being said, this is not going to be like a super like in-depth game, but it has enough strategy and choices, and also the ability to kind of mess with other people, which is something I think games like this need, that my family had an absolute blast with this. It probably helped the theme really appeal to my wife as well. But anyway, let me show you how Build It with Bryan is played, and then we'll come back here and I'll give you my final thoughts. Alright, so this is Build It, and I got ahead and set up the game. Now, right now, when I first opened up this game, and like I mentioned in my introduction, I got this blast of retro feel. It was a very nice feeling when I opened up this game. And actually, and when I read the rules, which I want to show this to you, remember when like the rules for games weren't like 27 pages long? So here we have the rules. It is a big giant sheet, and you have both sides. And plus, like, it isn't like a paper either. So if you hand it around the table, if you want to read the rules, it isn't going to get all busted up. But anyway, regardless, so the whole purpose of this game is you get $500,000 and you want to build your own house. And, you know, also, another thing that totally made me excited, retro feel, whatever you want to talk about, this game has fantastic components. Remember when, and I'll talk about this a little bit in my final thoughts here, but each person gets one of these trays. It's kind of tough to see everything that's in there, but this is the bank, like, you know, with all this money in it. But when you collect money, you know, you just, and each there's like $100,000 slide. You probably can't see the writing on there. It's really, obviously, let me see. You can kind of see it when I put the color behind it, but you can see it, right? Anyway, so like you put like your money in there, so it's easy to keep track, which is also nice because of the fact that I played this with my family, and you know, having trays for your kids to put the money in, so they don't have to worry about like holding it in the stacks and they're not like crumpling it up or anything like that. They can put that in there. But also, each person gets one of these grids. And you can see there's these numbers, 1, 2, 3, all the way to 25. Each person gets one of these grids. And this grid is how you determine how much you've done as far as building your house. And you might have noticed there is a second grid, or actually technically a fifth grid, in the middle here, and has all these little tiles. And as you build parts of the house that you are putting together, you will, you know, place these in there. And the first person to fill this whole thing up will win the game and will have built their house before anybody else. All right, so how do you play? Well, like as I said, you have $500,000, and on your turn, let me show you these cool pieces too. Hold on. So because you are building your house yourself, one person can be the handsaw. My wife always makes me use the handsaw because she thinks she's going to cut her hand off. Here's a drill. This would of course be a nail gun, and this is like, you know, it's like the biggest one. But I guess, you know, this is like a table saw. You know, so it's like you know, like well, actually probably just a work area or whatever. But I think of it as a table saw because of that thing on there. Or maybe that's a planer. I don't know. But anyway, regardless, each person gets one of those cool little tokens that will represent themselves as they go. So on your turn, what you're trying to do is you are trying to land on these different locations. Each one of these locations, as long as they aren't one of these cost less, cost more, or good day, bad day, which I'll talk about in a little bit. If you've noticed the cards that are out here, you probably guessed, hey, you probably draw those cards when you land there. You are correct, but I'll show you what those cards do and what they have. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to land on certain spaces of the board, and then you decide whether or not you want to spend the money on building that part of your house. And you don't have to build them in order, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But like here is the job costs, like, you know, plans and permits cost $7,500, you know, all the way down to final details, $2,500. In case you're wondering, the most expensive item is framing, $100,000. And since I framed my basement in my own house and then put up my sheetrock and everything like that, I don't think I did $100,000 worth of work. Probably shows with my framing job. But anyway, regardless, and plus my dad helped me, so I don't think I paid him any money for it either. But regardless, the dice, you get to roll 1, 2, or 3 dice. It's up to you how many dice you want to roll. And obviously then you will move that number of spaces on the board after you roll those dice. So the idea is that you're trying to figure out like what places you want to land on, and then you make your decision as far as how many dice you're going to roll. Now, some people might say, well, why wouldn't you just roll low numbers, hit those things as much as you can? Well, there is a trick that, like, when you pass go, or like the bank, I said go, when you pass the bank up there in the corner, you get money. You'll get $1,000 from the bank. If you can manage to land on the bank, you get $2,500, and you get $1,000 when you technically pass go. So you always want to try to hit the bank. Also, if you are running out of money, a very viable strategy if you need to make money, there is a shortcut you can take. You can take this shortcut, like you're always going clockwise. You can take this shortcut, go from here and jump over to here and keep going. You can roll 3 dice and make some money that way. You can also, when you come up this way, you can go that way as well, but you can never, take a left turn. You're always taking right turns. In the game. So, and you would do that because maybe like after you roll like 2 dice, it would land on the perfect spot that you need or whatever. If you manage to roll, if you roll 2 dice and you roll doubles, then you get to go ahead and take another turn. If you roll 3 dice and get a triple, you move to any job, any spot. Not one of the places where you draw cards, but you can move to any spot on the board, and you can't go to the bank either. But you move to any spot on the board. And then you can purchase the job for your house, and then you get to take another turn as well. Of course, you got to get lucky and roll 3 of a kind. All right, so the big thing is, well, let's just show. So, like, if I decided to roll all 3 dice, and I'm going to be the handsaw, because my wife makes her use a handsaw. Whoa, I rolled pretty good. So I got 15. So what I would do then is I would, like, count and see, like, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I can get windows for $20,000, or I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then that is Final Electrics for $5,000. Well, I don't want to do that. I'm going to take my handsaw. I'm going to go to Windows. Bam! I pay $20,000 for it, and then I take this little 5 there to show that I bought my windows, and I place that in that location. All right, so the whole idea is that right now, technically, I haven't installed the windows in my house yet because I haven't done the proceeding for numbers. So what can happen, and this is how you interact with other players, if like let's say the game's progressed a little bit. I'm just going to take some of this real quick here. And let's say I've gone 1, 2, 3, and I have 6, and maybe 10, and let's throw a 24 on there or something, and an 18. So let's say that's what I've got built so far. And my wife, playing the nail gun, because she likes using the nail gun, she comes, and let's say she lands on, let me find the 10, or so, let's just say she lands on landscaping over here. It's, $25,000. She can look at my board, and she can actually take my job, because basically we went to a contractor and we bid, hey, I want you to come here and do my landscaping for me. And so what happens then is they go to the same person and they can pay the premium cost for it, which is an increase. So you can see landscaping is $25,000, but the premium cost is an extra $5,000. So it costs $30,000 to get that done. And so she would pay $30,000, and what she would do is she would actually take my landscaping job off of my board and place it onto her board. And then I would have to, once again, try to get landscaping to fill up my board. That could not happen to 1, 2, or 3 because I've got those in sequence so far. If I can somehow get 4, like if I get like number 4 done and put it on there, like so, then because I paid $100,000 for framing, then my 1 through 6 would now be protected because they are in sequence. But my 10 and 18, my 18 fell there, my 10 and 18 would still be in danger. And so that's a big thing that you have to there's a weird thing is that you have to kind of hope to get the right numbers in order, and sometimes you won't buy, even though it seems normal to you just buy as soon as you land this stuff. it's sometimes like you may save your money either A, because you don't want somebody buying it out from underneath you, or B, you like want to save your money so you can have money to pay those premium costs and you can steal them from other players. Alright, so basically the game proceeds until somebody has completed their house. Once they've completed their house, they are the winner. If you ever run out of all your money, and there's no other way that you can continue, then you will, like if you're forced to pay money, and you can't, you will be out of the game and you've gone bankrupt. Now, the cost less, cost more cards are just what you might think. So like here's one that says, cost less. The building center has sale on landscaping materials. Receive $5,500. Now notice you don't have to do landscaping to get that $5,500. It's just what it is that's on there. And then there's ones like this where it says cost more. You upgrade your fireplace, pay $2,500. Oh, I don't have $2,500. Oh no, I'm bankrupt. I couldn't. Why did I want to have a special fireplace? All kinds of stuff like that. Sump pump is required. Like I have a sump pump. It runs all the time. Let's see here, like cancel custom front door. Receive $6,000. So those are all just kind of thematic, and you will gain money. And sometimes, it's obviously a risk because the cards are kind of 50-50, but you can get a pretty good windfall if you manage to land on them. Now, the good day, bad day are just maybe like you hear. Wrong facing installed on fireplace, return number 12 fireplace, and receive refund. That's a little misprint there, but you would receive a refund. That's a bad day. But here's a good day. Stone driveway and sidewalk completed. Go to number 24, landscaping, and then purchase if required. So you can just move forward and take that. Here's another bad day. Sump pump defect causes delay and miss a turn. And there's some in here that just like this. It's a good day. Your cabinets were installed. You get to take another turn. So just, generic kind of good and bad things that will happen to you as you're proceeding and your quest to finish your house. Now, obviously, this is not one of the heavier games I've ever played in my life. As I said in the introduction, this kind of retro reminded me of really, really good times when I was younger playing games like this. But it definitely hit that perfect little sweet spot that my family looks for a game that we can all enjoy. My 6-year-old son had a blast playing this, building his house, seeing it being created, counting the numbers, counting out his money, things like that. And it was just a really, really good family time. And I think that's what this game is for. It's for people that are home improvement enthusiasts and maybe fans of the HGTV, as I said, and also just want to have a relaxing, good gaming time with their family, which is exactly what this did. Even the kids' grandparents, my parents, really, really liked playing this. They thought it was a lot of fun. But let me talk about that and a whole lot more in my final thoughts. Oh, Bryan, are you okay? You kind of fell there. Alright, so there you go. That's how you play Build It with Bryan. As I said, it wasn't going to be the most in-depth thing that you ever heard of. But like I said, there's enough in there as far as the decisions you have to make. Trying to make sure you roll a certain number of dice to land on certain things. But if you're just rolling one die and trying to move very slow and meticulously on the board, then you're not going to make it to the bank. You're not going to have the chance to roll doubles or triples and get that extra turn, those sorts of things. So there's these little gambles and risk rewards that are going on. Not huge, monumental, game-shifting risk-reward type things, but enough to make people actually stop and think. And, it isn't just a game where you're picking up the die, you're rolling it, okay, go, your turn, okay, go, your turn. There's something else going on. And so, and I really, really like trying to land on other people's things that aren't in sequence for them and stealing that stuff from them. There's just something wonderfully beautiful about taking something, especially then the next turn they hit the perfect job that would have sequenced out the whole chain of stuff they have, but because you stole that one thing from them, it's haha, you have that nice little feel of I don't know, like, jabbing it to somebody, if you will. My kids absolutely love doing that to the dad. It's like, I beat dad, and he, like, works in board games for a living. Dad sucks. But anyway, but that's, like, what I was talking about, like, as far as I said, the family having a blast. There's something really, really fun about everybody else at the table ganging up on me. And my wife once said, nobody plays the angry loser better than you. I'm not really angry, but my kids are expecting me to play that. Like, oh, of course you're going after me. Why would you? And they're just, and they are, beside themselves with happiness and laughing at my failure and my and that's ultimately what it is. I would never play this game like cutthroat. I gotta win, build it with Bryan. But I would play this game every weekend that I have with my family over the last month. I would play this game again and again just to see my kids laughing and giggling and having a blast and holding on to stacks of money and me telling them to put them back in there, put it back in your tray, Caleb, stuff like that. And ultimately, it like I said, it takes me back to those days of playing board games with my sister and my brother and my dad and my grandpa and my grandma, playing games with my old friend Richard Klaus, stuff like that, where it kind of harkens back to when there's a little more innocence, if you will, to my board game hobby, my board game life, and it's a good feeling. It's a nice warm bath type feeling, and I really, really enjoyed the fact that Build It with Bryan gave me that feel. Now, if regardless, everybody enjoys games differently, but if you are like a fan of like the HGTV stuff, and you are looking for something maybe to bridge the gap, like this is like the perfect game for my wife. My wife always says, I like playing board games, I just hate games with 8,000 rules. Well, here we had a game that not only did the theme appeal to her, but there weren't 8,000 rules, and she was able to jump in and play and have fun. And that's like a really good time for me. Like, there's nothing better than like when I realized that everybody else in my family just had a blast playing board games, and I'm like this big huge board game nerd. And I know there's a lot of people out there who are huge big board game nerds, and maybe their spouse and their family aren't. So this is a way you can bridge that gap, a game that can do that, and you can actually enjoy your hobby with those people. So it's awesome. For what it is. For what it is, like I said, it fits that to a T, and it is a lot of fun. And I'll be honest. I was very skeptical at first. I was like, okay, well, let's try this out. And I was very pleasantly surprised with the experience as it gave me. Like I said, my children giggling maniacally as they dismantle my house that I'm trying to build. I love that. I love seeing the demonic gleam in their eyes as Dad once again loses. But anyway, there you go. That is Build It with Bryan. Questions, ask away, answer them as best as I can. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. Until next time, I'm the Undead Viking, telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. Alright, bye-bye.